Lahain is a really good movie. It was filmed in 1995 that portrays themes of racism, police brutality, lack of identity, and the cycle of hatred. It takes place in France during the 90s. And I think it's an amazing movie. I've seen it multiple times. I think the themes are still relevant today. And the main points I'll be making is I'll talk about the characters, the themes, and then the themes portrayed specifically in the movie. So first I'll talk about the characters. This is a very character-driven story, and the three main characters are, I guess I'll introduce them individually. The first character is Hubert. Hubert is a second-generation immigrant whose family comes from Africa. He's a lot different than the people around him. A lot of people this time are very pro-violence, they're very anti-police, and he's the voice of peace, he's the voice of morality in the story. He doesn't think that violence should take place at all, and he pretty much wants to break the cycle of hatred. And Vince is the next character, is pretty much the complete opposite. So Vince is a non-practicing Jew who has a strong hatred for the police because of what they did to one of his friends. And he thinks himself an Avenger type, and in this story, he's pretty much opposite Hubert. So Hubert would be the voice of morality, and then Vince is the voice of action. And yeah, he's more of an eye for an eye type of character, so the opposite of Hubert. And the last character is Saeed, who is from a second-generation immigrant from Northern Africa. And in this story, he's a troublemaker, but he's more a voice of neutrality. He's a mediator between the other two characters. So overall, they're obviously minorities, and they have a lack of identity. They're not accepted by anybody, not the French or the people back in their original countries. So I guess I'll start with the main themes. I think these two themes go together hand in hand, really. It's racism and police brutality. We see multiple times in this movie that Vince, Saeed, and Hubert are targeted by the police just for being young, poor-looking kids, you know. At one point, they go to Paris, and they go into a fancy apartment building to do a deal. After the deal fails, they exit, and waiting are the police, who take only Hubert and Saeed, the two ethnic characters, and Vince walks away freely. And yeah, I mean, this is a huge thing. We see it multiple times in the movie, but that is like the most relevant. And then the next most important theme I'd say is the cycle of hatred. Obviously, we see these characters get abused, and obviously that is gonna make them hate the system more. They already hate the system they're in because of they're poor, they get abused by the police, there's nobody there for them really, all they have is themselves. Hubert has a really good line about this. He says that hate breeds hate, and I think that speaks volumes, especially in this movie, even for today. And now I'll talk about how these themes are specifically portrayed in the movie. For racism, police brutality, aforementioned, I said that Saeed and Hubert were taken by the police solely because of their race. And in the scene, one of the hardest scenes to watch is when they're in the police station getting abused by the police, saying racist slurs and just choking, beating them up. It's a very powerful scene and hard to watch, but also very well shot. And then the last theme that I'll talk about the best theme being portrayed in the movie is the cycle of hatred. Towards the end of their story, Vince has decided that he will stop being the voice of action, and he's going to be more like Hubert and try to end the cycle of hatred peacefully. Therefore, he relinquishes his will to be like that. And he's walking away with Saeed, and Hubert is going the other way. A police squad car pulls up, then a scuffle goes down, and then Vince ends up getting shot in the head. And at this point, we see Hubert walking back, and he actually has the gun that Vince just gave him, and pretty much the cycle of hatred takes place. He puts the gun up to the cop's head, and then at this point we hear Hubert narrating. He says, "So far, so good. So far, so good. It's not how you fall that matters. It's how you land." And then the movie ends with a blank screen and a gunshot going off. So we don't know who lived, who died, but it was a very powerful scene. I recommend that you watch it. And for my conclusion, I will just say that I think Lahain is an amazing movie. I think that the themes are relevant, and I think everybody should go watch it.